All right. We are going to say hello and get started. I'm Tracy. Some of you are familiar and some of you guys are new, so that makes it a really nice Saturday here at the studio. It's nice to have our familiar people who, there are some people here who have actually been practicing Kundalini Yoga in various ways for a while. It's nice to have their energy and their experience kind of anchoring the space. And then when people come who are new, it's really wonderful to have your fresh lens and new gaze on the whole thing too. So that's kind of what makes a community stick together, right? Is that we're all just kind of bumbling along with each other and figuring it out. So we're going to figure this out today, or at least we're going to have an experience that will inform us. Let me make sure. Okay. That we're not missing anyone who's trying to communicate, and I'm going to drag the music down just a little. In this lineage, we use mantra a lot, and so you'll find that there's even a little speaker box in the front hallway with mantras that play 24/7, because the sound frequency puts a pattern that can be protective, it can amplify, it can ground. So it puts a pattern in the space here and helps us just welcome prosperity and safety and all the things that we want for our community here. So there are a few people that are on the list that aren't here yet. And maybe they're coming, maybe they're not, that's how Saturdays go. But to start with, this practice uses and accentuates and kind of like plays with our electromagnetic field a lot. So it can be very nice to have a natural fabric on top of any synthetic. So you'll see that in the tradition, you'll see sheepskins a lot, and all the sheepskins in the building here are real sheepskins. They're sourced responsibly from a company called Sheepskin Mama, who's just a really nice woman who's very, very welcoming and accommodating if you want to reach out to her via Instagram directly to help choose something for yourself. But Sheepskin Mama imports from responsible sources, and these are all real sheepskins. The reason they practice on sheepskins, one is for the protection of your electromagnetic field, and the other is for like the comfort of your sit bones. Like a lot of people who bring their sheepskins have them from like relatives who perhaps were ill. You know, they'll use a sheepskin under people who are bedridden to prevent bed sores. So that density of this fur is very conducive to like not getting those kind of pressure point sores developing. Yeah, and I know there's a lot in the yoga community about like the compassion to the animals and the respect to the animal kingdom, and there could be some feelings about that around a sheepskin, but at least what I've been told in this tradition, you know, we are all trying just to make our way in ways that feel good, is that when you practice on the sheepskin, it redeems the soul of the sheep. So your spiritual practices uplift and elevate the soul of that animal who gave. And I don't know if you remember the movie Avatar, but like when they showed so much respect to the life that was taken, you know, when the animal died, and for our food and those kinds of things, like those kind of spiritual practices have come through the millennium, like through humanity, for all of humanity's humanity, you know, on this planet. So I know that when I open up a new sheepskin, like I fall in love. Like each of the sheepskins here has a story behind it and a time when I practiced on it and what it meant to me. So that you'll see one on the bench on the way to the bathroom. There's one in the front room. There's a couple in my office, and I've got one at home. They're all really very special to me for different reasons. So anyway, yeah. So if you could take your blanket, fold it hot dog style, and Hannah and Craig were spot on. It will fit right on top of your mat like this. And then you can use your whole mat and you'll have that comfort. And I've gotten such that, you know, I use like a yoga blanket underneath my sheepskin to kind of keep it from sliding. And because I can pull it like a magic carpet all around the studio like this, but you know, it covers the whole mat. And then when you're laying in Shavasana, you have something underneath you, and you're not just sitting on it. So that can be nice. And while we're like just thinking about it, I'll let you know that when we fold up the blankets in the studio, there's no right or wrong, and you don't have to do it this way, but there is a more helpful way. And so it's a more helpful way if you do hot dog first, and then the fringes are friends. Hot from there, you're kind of onto something. Boom, boom. And then they'll all stack, and they all do fit on the shelf there, like kind of just right. But you know, like I said, we harbor no grudge. We harbor no grudge. Don't feel like, oh, mama's in the house watching how you fold your blankets. It's just if you are going to fold it anyway, that's one way that makes it more helpful the next time. All right. So Kundalini Yoga, would anyone like to ask a question or offer a thought? Like maybe you're super excited to tell people how much this practice means, or maybe there's something you kind of want to make sure I answer today. So I thought I'd start with just letting anyone who has that bubbling get it right out here. I'm here for you, and we can take maybe like 5 or 6 minutes just to see a little brain dump. Anyone?
Is there a translation for Kundalini?
Interesting. I don't know if there's a literal translation or not. I know that there's like a definition to what that word means, which varies across cultures and interpretations, right? The Kundalini word itself in this tradition is referring to the energy that is our spiritual enlightenment energy. And you know, there's all different ways that that's been described throughout history and text. And even, like, I know Chris Tompkins is a scholar that studies the Dead Sea Scrolls that were discovered in the 50s and reinterpreting that. And the scholars are learning more and more about these ancient languages and what the words actually were referring to and meaning, right? And what the different letters and the sounds and the visualizations and what people were like trying to communicate. Because when you take something like those ancient teachings out of context, like we can be a little bit biased in how we're interpreting it just based on our own experiences. So it's like this helix wrapping of energy that rises up. In the Q&A on the website, it's like, isn't Kundalini a snake? And it was never a snake. They weren't talking about a snake. The snake was the metaphor. The snake was like the energy spins like this, the way a snake is coiled, right? And the energy awakens, which doesn't mean it's sleeping or dormant. It means we're like blind to it. And then through certain practices, we can become aware of it, and we can have an experience with it, through it, of it, right? And so the Kundalini would just be this rising energy. And when you think about it, it's not all as elusive as you think, because the helix of our DNA spirals, the string of string theory spirals, like there's this appreciation for the energy flows like this, you know? And so they're talking about just like, let's have an experience of bringing this energy up the spine. What do you think? Yeah, make peace with that. Think something to think about, and then you'll just have to study and come back and we can bat it around for a while, because I like that. I'm a philosophy person. Anybody else? Thoughts? Questions? Myths?
Can you do it again after class?
Pardon me?
Can you do the Q&A again after class?
100% we'll do a Q&A after class too. And basically what I thought we could do is kind of bounce through these questions. Hi, Carrie, come on in. We've got all kinds of spots right here for you. We can just bounce through these questions that are on the FAQs on the website and just give a little thought to them, because it's kind of deep in the website. Not everybody finds it. And I feel like I organized it pretty neat and tidy. So why not just use it? I personally have been practicing yoga since 97. And even prior to that, I was a music therapy major in college, and I was taught how to lead meditations. So I meditated all through my 20s, and then early in my 30s, when I got a divorce, I found myself with 2 kids and at home with VHS tapes. So I found some yoga VHS tapes to work out with in my living room, clear the table of the toys, and just like try to get some sanity. So my journey in yoga was really about the physical meeting that meditation practice that I had. And that was really Hatha Yoga, power yoga for me. And I lived in that community of hot and sweaty and athletic for a lot of years. And then through my adult life, I just kept getting this thing where I should be doing kriyas. And I would ask different yoga teachers who seemed to be doing yoga differently than me, do you have kriyas? And I need to get some kriyas. And then I started finding like Kundalini mantras that I would just wake up and the mantra would be in my head and I'd be like going to search for what is this mantra. And when I could find it, like I would weep, or I would get like so overwhelmed with joy, I'd have like a visceral response to it. So like that idea of an awakening, like I started to have this awareness, like, and then what is it? Because I didn't really know exactly what it is, and then I would get busy, and then it would sort of bubble up again. But when my stepdaughter had cancer at a very young age, and passed away, the trauma of that in my body, and I held it, like I kind of held the trauma, maybe even for my husband, like it just really hit my body, and I wasn't able to do the power yoga anymore because everything felt so locked up and impossible. My shoulders were up like this, I could barely turn my head. And one of my friends moved back from Columbus, and she was a Kundalini Yoga teacher, and I said to her, I will pay you, meet with me once a week on Tuesdays at 11 o'clock. It wasn't 9 o'clock, but thus was the start of Tuesday, Thursday Kundalini Yoga. And would you please do private Kundalini Yoga with me? Something told me that was the key. And the movements are very simple, very dynamic. The mantras are very powerful. The emphasis on the meditation was exactly what I needed to like make my way through that and to heal that trauma and release the tension. It's just a different kind of movement, and it really worked for me. So very quickly I was like, aha, because I could feel very quickly, like you'll get a very distinct experience today. And when you leave here today, you'll have an experience, one experience of what Kundalini Yoga is about. You'll have like that one experiential definition, but you won't leave feeling nothing. You won't leave saying, I don't even know what that was nothing. It will be a something, right? Because that's what it does to our inner energy and our electromagnetics. It wakes up a something experience. And so I could tell immediately that there was a something to it. And for me, the something is the day that I did Kundalini, I didn't feel like I needed to cry at all that day, right? The day that I did Kundalini Yoga, I could reach up and get something out of the shelf without worrying about my shoulder getting cramped up there because I didn't have as much muscular tension. The day I did it, I could breathe deeper into my belly and could be a little bit more relaxed and settled and grounded. So it was like these incremental steps and then a big wave of like healing that could come through. Because once I felt that one day, I had to do it the next day too, and the next day. And you know what we do? We go to Google and we just Google on all the Kundalini Yoga we can find. Just read everything we can find about it. And so that was my experience. And I really do want to say that there is a stain, like there is on much of what we recognize as our respect structures. Like there's a stain on the respect structure of the churches. There's a stain on the respect structure of the medical community, on the political community. Like this is the time we're living in. There's a stain on the respect structure of the yoga community as well. There are many yoga teachers from the past generation who were elevated and exalted and then found to be not so exalt worthy, not as clean and not as spiritually pure as we wanted them to be. And I really feel like a part of that is our breaking down, like our as humanities breaking down of this hierarchy where we put the guru up here. And like we're now in a time where we have to find like this authority, this sovereignty, this inner authority. So in the Kundalini Yoga community, Yogi Bhajan brought this lineage that I've studied and teaching today. He brought these teachings from India via Toronto to Southern California. And he shared them. And he had a following, and certain things happened, and I wasn't there. My teachers were there, I wasn't there. My teachers are very loyal to him. A lot of people that studied with him were not loyal with him, but it was just a couple years ago that there were accusations against him in terms of his sexual relationships with students. Also how some of the children were treated when they were sent to certain schools in India and stuff. Maybe some business practices probably too. Like it's just dirty. So I was already like embedded in what this practice was doing with me, for me. I was embedded with teachers that were speaking towards my sovereignty, my freedom, my free choice, with an understanding that, hey, you come, you have an experience. If this experience serves you, come back. If it doesn't serve you, please go find something else that does. So there was never anything for me cult-like about it. There was never anything for me that felt abusive or unclean about it. And I just stayed really in my lane, that this is my soul experience, and then I'm teaching these in a way that are as clean as I can offer them. And I'm just as human as everyone else. So I've tried to find that way with Yogi Bhajan. He's the man with the beard. You can look that up and you can see exactly all the stories and what that did to the community. I think that if we can take a big picture look and we can say, the shit he did was wrong, was very wrong. We're not carrying that forward. The technologies that he gave us as tools could be used for really good things if we're able to hold ourselves in a much better place. So, so if you have any questions about it or want to talk about it, like, I'm here for you, because it really is a quandary for a lot of people who were very close to him. A lot of people. The snake. So the white, I want to tell you just a little bit. Do you have to wear white? No, you really don't. Most of the time when I'm teaching a class, it looks just like this, right, Carrie? Yeah, it just looks like people wear what they wear. I'll wear white, out of respect for the lineage, although you can see today I do throw in some color. Also, I used to wrap my head, but it was really a barrier for people. They'd be like, did Tracy join a cult? And then we were back to that same thing again, it's Kundalini Yoga cult, right? So I was like, okay, this is a barrier. I'm gonna go ahead and just take that off and not worry about it. Now, if I go somewhere and I'm going into my practices deeply, I'll wear it because it will secure the bones of your brain. So when you start getting that energetic buzz, you don't get kind of overwhelmed by it or headachy about it. So especially if I'm going to, I studied at Rama Institute in LA. If I'm going there, their frequency in the channel they have coming into their space is really vibed high, and they're very powerful teachers. So like you're swimming in their deep water, and I'll wrap my head. But around here, like I just won't, and it messes up my hair for the rest of the day anyway, so it just seems to work for me. But the white reflects, you know, the white reflects, and it reflects negative energy, color, you know, heavy color, and that. So that's basically the thing. And also because Yogi Bhajan happened to be Sikh, and this practices that he's sharing, his style, because remember, India is huge, and yoga came from all over. They were just the practices of that cultural, you know, people. And so there's all different flavors and styles, and depending on where, but his community was Sikh. And so these practices in this lineage that I learned are through the Sikh tradition. And in the Sikh tradition, they wear white, and they wear the headdresses with the long veils, and you know, some of them have the gold pin here, and there are certain symbols that go with that lineage. And I would never want to appropriate that, but I do want to respect the practices. And so it's just wear what you feel comfortable with. And sometimes the girls start to wear white because it just starts to feel good. You're like when I put my white on, I'm like, oh, I'm having like this nice clean day, and I'm gonna hold my energy this certain way. So if it serves you, you're welcome to. Do you have to? Absolutely not. It works whether you wear white or not. It's just the more sensitive we get, then you might start to play with that and see what happens. One time someone asked me, why would I try Kundalini Yoga? Does it look like I don't get enough sex? And I was like super duper puzzled by that. But it does perhaps point to a myth or a misconception that he holds, and if he holds it, then maybe someone else does. So like, I just want to say that through the history of yoga, as an umbrella term yoga, it was classical yoga, which was a part of this renunciant path, where yoga was for the rich, the wealthy, the royalty. And just like the priests were not allowed to have sex or have children or live a householder life, they had to somehow elevate themselves above other people and only eat a half a grain of sand a day or whatever. You know, it was like there were all these austerities that they would do. Yoga was like that too, in the classical thread. And then Kundalini actually isn't from that classical thread. It's from the tantric thread, which were the practices of the people, the householder people. So the people that worked in the markets and that worked in the I don't know, that birthed babies and put horse shoes on your horses and farmed the land and sold things, like the ordinary people, okay? And the ordinary people just like used herbs to heal people, and they used certain ways of relating to the seasons and to nature. And they like had had sex with each other and found love and expression and divine through that activity. So rather than being of that classical thread, it's of the tantric thread. And so then what happened was this idea that does it look like I don't get enough sex, like Kundalini Yoga is about the sex, is like this mislabeling, this misunderstanding of those two threads of history. That yes, Kundalini Yoga is of the tantric, but it's just moving your energy and what you choose to do with it, whether you're going to like take your creative life force energy and move a rug, or take your creative life force energy and share intimate time with someone else. It's like, you know, whatever you need to, whatever you do your thing, like live your life. And it's all divine. It's all a part of being really excited about being human, about being really vibrant and alive and connected to your experience. And I think that's more what people are kind of like thinking about that's gotten convoluted. Do you have any questions about that? Does that cover it? The nice thing, stop talking about sex, but it's like, yeah. When you said it to me, I was like, no, but I'm making note of your question. Because I want people to feel really comfortable that, you know, we're not talking about any kind of energy that, or any kind of an experience that is so out there. It's like when you get that bubbling up of love and joy when you see a baby being born, or when you see, you know, a puppy dog or a beautiful sunset. We're just talking about our own electromagnetic field. What can you expect to do? You can expect to move, breathe, and you can expect to chant. So we do use sound frequency and sound vibration. The mantras are very prescriptive and unique, so they can be chosen and practiced for different impacts, as well as the kriyas. The kriyas are like a little exercise set, and then the mantra is like the words that you chant, which comes from the Gurumukh language, which is a derivative of the Sanskrit. So big words to mean it's all that Sanskrit umbrella from that cultural corner of India that's being chanted. When the tongue hits the roof of the mouth, it's stimulating different meridians and nerves and pathways that will stimulate different areas of your brain. And the subconscious belief patterns that are in there can gradually, through this practice, be shifted or realigned or aligned to different capacities. So this mantra that is chanting right now is a paragraph out of the Japji Sahib, which is a seed text. And it is like honoring the seed idea that there's infinite potential. And it's a paragraph, it's a long mantra. And I worked really hard to learn it. And I loved it because I worked really hard to learn it. I had to like neuromuscular patterning, work my tongue into these patterns and feel like where it hit in my mouth. And I could feel my mind opening up. And I could notice new awarenesses of things that probably were already there that I just hadn't picked up on before, right? So I could really feel how my subconscious was like, oh, this is very interesting. And I started to see in my life how like a dam was breaking. Like you guys never ever would have been able to open a studio. Like it just wasn't, I just didn't think it was too big. I had all of these things, it would just take so much money. Oh, like it would just take so much, like I put walls up in here. Like to walk in and to see potential and to say yes to it, to say to the contractor, this is my budget, and have him come back with a number that was so much bigger. Like the old me would have been like, no, it was too expensive to see. But like I've been chanting these mantras in my mind, said, well, and I'm like, no, I kind of can feel that there is yes in this. And so then this number comes back and I'm like, okay, I'm not sure how that's gonna happen yet, but that can happen, it's possible, right? And we all have like where we are and what our pattern is. And for the most part, we're a little unaware of it because we only know what we know. Right? The goldfish doesn't realize that there are other goldfish bowls that are bigger than this. He's like, got the whole world here. And you're like, dude, you have 5 gallons. Not a lot. You put him in a 20-gallon tank and he's like, onto the sippity. Anything's possible, right? So it's just a really interesting thing, but it's an experience, right? So we can talk about it until you experience. Scott, do you have anything to say about, like, Scott and Dana have been practicing kind of regularly, or has it been 6 months or a year, or what would you call it? Do you know?
Gosh, I'm trying to remember when. Yeah, I think probably 6 months, but I've always kind of had that like call whenever I've done it. I'm like, wow, I need that. And then thankfully you release the replays. So mostly I have used your, I practice virtually live whenever I can, but yeah, I mean, we always say, I think you said it perfectly, you will feel something. Like you will feel something. I just always feel like when you said, you know, oh, the day like I didn't have to like I'll start the practice and usually I'll be like, I really need to do Kundalini right now. And I'll leave and it's like everything has realigned or I've realigned. Not everything else I've realigned. So yeah, it's a potent practice. I haven't felt anything like it. So
yeah. I started from more of a power yoga practice. So when we first did it, I remember we were on a vacation and we were sitting outside and all these cars were driving around us and we were doing kriyas and flapping our hands. And I felt like, oh my God, what am I doing? And how is this going to help? And I'll never be allowed back at this place again. And there, right, it is just this very energetic, it's hard to describe, but it works and it's very fulfilling. And when it's over, you always feel like it was incredibly well spent time.
Yeah. Yogi Bhajan said that when you practice Kundalini Yoga, it's like you've written yourself a check and you can stand in front of the world the rest of the day and cash it. You know, it's like it just gets you in that place where you can just stand and say, bring it on, I'm fine, I'm ready, I can do it. Emmy Kaufman practices in the morning, and she's been practicing since I was an Akron, so it's been a couple of years for her. And she teaches yoga. She drives from Greene, like down by Greene, Ohio, up on Tuesday and Thursday mornings, like so consistently. And she said, no, I have to come up and do it. And I can work until 10 o'clock tonight. I have energy all day long on the days that I practice with you. So yeah. There's something in it. There's something in it, and then if there isn't, then go with many blessings because something else will speak to you. Find something that does. These are really hard times, have you noticed? I said, like this week with the time change and the eclipse and like the elections and like everything, I finally figured out like how to sum it up. I said to the girls this morning, it's like everybody else's hit my fan, right? It's like there were so many things that other people were like crazy about that became my problems, right? Like super interesting, right? Okay, it's like your problem doesn't actually become my problem, but in this case, sometimes it has to. Is this Abby who's on?
oh, probably Carol.
Oh, Carol,
Yeah.
Carol, thank you, I couldn't remember names. Carol, I'm gonna put the mic on because as we get started in our Kriya here, I'm gonna have music on. All right, so the other kind of hurdle, I took off the white scarf around my head, so like that was one hurdle. The other hurdle is the chanting. And you know, I have a friend who's like, Kundalini is weird AF, but it works. Second of all, do you have to do those 2 chants in the beginning? And we do, because the 2 mantras that are chanted in the beginning we're bringing vibration through the body instrument so that you can open this crown chakra up and you can kind of get something going. So you can like turn the radio frequency on so that you can start saying like, okay, I'm here and I'm available. Let's see what can happen today. Otherwise, we're in this sort of flattened out electromagnetic expression and we're not going to vibrate and resonate with anything of any optimism. You know, it's like if you are tuning in, if you are in this kind of dulled down, numbed out sort of frequency, you're just going to resonate and attract to that. So we've got to wake it up and get ourselves kind of shaken into something higher frequency so we can tune into something that's a little bit more optimistic and helpful for us, right? And the first mantra These are on your mantra cards. The cards stay here, and I say, like, please just, they're like your turnpike tickets. So don't bend or mutilate them. That really helps us because we want to like share them with people. Yes. I'm sorry. Got it? Right here, right here. Thank you. The first mantra that we chant them 3 times, and we chant them slow because we're wanting to accentuate the tongue and the mouth, and we want the long vowels coming through because that's creating the vibration in the form. Om Namo Gurudev Namo means I bow to the divine wisdom of all that is. I bow to the divine teacher within. It's the Adi mantra. Adi means first, so it's the first mantra. We chant that 3 times. And then we chant the second mantra, which is for protection. And actually the Mangalancharan mantra wraps like 4 sides around us. So if you can like do in your imagination, like a 60-degree energetic, and then behind you, and you've got 60-degree walls that are like this coming around you. It's like you're putting yourself in this protected pyramid, like, you know, like you've got your grace pyramid. So that's a visual that I use. Tej, who's one of the old school teachers who was one of Yogi Bhajan's assistants in that like 1969 through the 70s kind of time period. She was one of my teachers. And she said about the 60-degree angles coming down, and each of the phrases of this, like I'm Gudeva me, Jugad Gudeva me, Sat Gudeva me, Siddhi Gudeva me, bringing this protective shield. I kind of thought, oh, it would make like a pyramid, wouldn't it? Then I could sit there like the priestess I am. Yeah, you know, it's just a fun little mental game I play. All right, so that means I bow to the primal wisdom, I bow to the wisdom through time, I bow to the true wisdom, I bow to the great unseen wisdom. And in these teachings, although they come through the Sikh tradition, remember that, you know, the Sikh people were just the people of their culture, so it wasn't meant to be a religion. The yoga practices weren't meant to be a religious practice to exclude anyone. So when you're here, this is you with you, and you're having your own experience. And what you're connecting to and calling in is aligned to you, right? It's your experience. And so rather than feeling like it's exclusionary, it's actually pretty inclusionary because we're just, you know, the wisdom of all time, the divine of all time. And then when each of us has our own life experiences and our own spiritual inner practices, then we're able to tag that in a way that meets our own heart and soul. So that's to open class, 2 mantras. To close class, we use the back and we sing a long time sun song and we chant Satnam 3 times. Satnam is down at the bottom. We chant those. The Sat is very long and then the Nam is short. Sat means true and Nam means name, true name. And so when we first think, oh, true name, it's a little bit like wherever you want to go with it, like in your own personal discovery and exploration and contemplation. You know, true name as in your higher self, true name and as the you that transcends all time and all forms, true name as in who you really are, rather than the personalities and the masks that we wear, true name as in please help me find myself, you know, like whatever you relate to. So when we look at translations, they're just much deeper than switching out one language for another language, right? And then it becomes something that you can hold in your own heart in contemplation in your practices over time. And that's kind of cool, right? All right. So what else are we going to do in class today? We're going to have a class because I want you to have an experience, of course. We're going to do this Kriya that's called the Navi Kriya for prana and apana. Prana is the energy that comes up our body. Apana is the energy that comes down. So this Kriya is just allowing us to balance the rising and the descending flows of energy. When we use the word Navi, we're talking about the core. So we're going to have a little bit of core work today. Not a terrible lot. We're going to keep it on the gentler side. So none of this for Kundalini arms, minutes and minutes and minutes and minutes and minutes. which can sometimes happen. Arms are a thing in Kundalini. Why are arms a thing? Because they're an extension of the heart. And this is a really powerful electromagnetic force that we want to be very liberated. All this stress kind of keeps that energy from flowing. So I don't want to digress. So we're going to do a tune-in. We're going to do cat-cow. I'd like to teach you breath of fire. So we'll do a breath practice. We'll do this Navi Kriya, Prana, Pranabhamas. We're going to have a gong bath. And so for Shavasana and Kundalini Yoga, you lay on the ground and get like the world's sweetest gong bath, right, Carrie? And the gong has a particular way of coming through the body field, particularly after the Kriyas. So you'll have to see what your experience is like with that. It is said that the gong clears the psyche, clears the subconscious. So it's a part of the whole package here. And then we'll do the long time sun song and the 3 satnams. And then we'll do some questions. Sound good? We have a lot to do, we have a lot to cover. Before we go into that, does anyone have something they'd like to ask or a comment to make so far?
I have a question about the 60 degrees.
Yeah.
I feel like that comes up a lot.
It does.
What's the significance of that angle?
It's like the angle of the sword of God, like the cutting through. Like 90 degrees is conflict. And even if you think of like in astrology, a square versus a conjunction versus a trine, and a trine would be like the cooperative triangle, right? And so they use 60 degrees as that cutting through. You know, in the mythology kind of sense, it's like the sword of God cutting through. Wow. Shit of life. Oh, it's crazy in my head. I share all of it with you. But you know, things like that stick with, right? They stick with. Yeah. There's like a mantra that you use. I can never remember what it is, and I actually had an opportunity to defend with it. It's a mudra with a mantra, and I couldn't remember it in the moment either. So I said, "You get out of here!" And my teacher said, "That's a very good mantra too." But it's like this mudra like this, where the hands are like a sword, and I just went, "You get out of here!" And because I was like, "Ugh," because I was so startled by this aggressive force coming at me. You know, this person on the street kind of thing. I was like, "You get out of here!" And my teacher said, "That's a very good mantra too." And so I never learned the real mantra. I just figured that's going to be a really good one, but like the same, like my 60-degree force out there. Little girls. So, okay. All right, I'm going to put this up here and drop this down. And if you want to look at your mantra card, you can. You don't have to. You don't have to chant the words. You can like look at them or kind of mumble along. You can just listen. I'm going to wrap my mantra around the group so that we can create container, and that will include you. So you can just kind of relax and see what that experience is like. My teachers say that you could just come in and lay and sleep in the back of the room, and you'll get every bit as much out of the practice as the person in the front who's like trying so hard. So yeah, you're here now. Let's see what the experience is all about. Rub your palms together, spark the nerve endings, and then place the hands on heart, thumb knuckles at the sternum. I like to drift my elbows out a little bit and bring the spine up tall. Also, I like to lean back on the sit bone. So those are things that help me align my spine. You can feel kind of what your spinal alignment is about and adjust yourself. Take a deep inhale breath and sigh out the mouth. Bring the energy all the way down and settle. And then inhale to tune in. Om. breath in, lift at the base of the body, pull the energy up the spine, press the tongue to the roof of the mouth, hold the air in, sip in a little bit more if you need to. And exhale your air. Now for protection, inhale. Om Guru Inhale deeply. Hold and lift. Hold it up, stretch taller. And exhale your air. All right, we're going to come to all fours, please. In Kundalini Yoga, cat-cow is a little bit more enthusiastic. Michelle calls it, she's here a lot in the mornings, rodeo cat-cow. And so we're building prana, we're pumping energy up the spinal line. So we want to pump the energy up the spinal line. So belly down, chin up, inhale, curl tuck, exhale. Keep going. Now, you are moving to the health of your own spine. That's very important. For some of us, it's smart to go a little slower. But if your spine is healthy enough to move a little quicker, please do. Chin up on the inhale, chin tuck on the exhale. The fullest expression is to add the mantra Sat on the inhale, Nam on the exhale. And to place the Sat at the tip of the tailbone, the Nam at the pit of the belly. That means you're starting to anchor the mental minds. You're coming into more embodiment. You're starting to anchor the whole system. In this practice, in this lineage, we talk about a 10-body system. So yes, you are your physical body, but you are also your soul body. The three aspects of your mind, your negative mind, your positive mind, and your neutral mind. You are your auric field, you are your arc line. Your arc line holds your life stories. You are your subtle body, the subtle energies. that are sparked through you, and you are your pranic body. Finally, the 10th body is your radiant body. You are your radiance. And so it's like, not that they're layered, it's like they're interwoven. It's like we have this very multi-dimensional experience of ourselves. The Kriyas are arranged to address all 10 bodies. So you can better believe that when you're in these Kriyas, there will be something physical about it, there will be something mental about it, something energetic about it. There will be something through the aura, something through the arc line. There's going to be some prana moving in the inner system. There are going to be some chakra work kinds of things, meridians opening, all that is a part of the integrated 10-body conversation. Cat-cow, that one thing, cat-cow, is in fact a full Kriya. So 3 minutes of cat-cow every day can be a full Kriya. Fully address the 10 bodies in this 3 minutes. You have less than a minute left. You're doing quite well. I still remember, and if I miss a couple days of practice, I feel it again, like the overwhelm of the early cat-cows. Like, how could I get tired doing cat-cows? 3 more seconds. You're welcome to take a break if you need to, but my guess is at this point, you can see it through. It's 20 more seconds, you come this far. It can just stir up a lot of sensation. And so the nervous system has to process everything. And for most of us, especially in this day and age, our nervous systems, they're taxed. This practice will support you in developing a stronger nervous system. Drop the belly with the chin. Breathe in, hold the air in, stretch. Exhale in the opposite direction. Tuck and curl under, push the air out and stretch. Hold out. Good work. Now inhale, flat back. And exhale, send the hips back to the heels. This is child's pose, but we call it Guru Pranam, and the palms of the hands come together. So it's important that the hands touch each other, the fingers align. Exactly. Because the nerve endings are meeting each other. And those signals are coming down the arms, through the shoulder girdle, up into the brain, and the left, right hemispheres will integrate. So there's a lot happening right here in this moment. All right, so that was an experience, right? You're already feeling something? Come on up, we're going to do some breath of fire. Breath of fire in Kundalini Yoga is quite different than breath of fire in Hatha Yoga. In Hatha Yoga, there's a lot of like this pumping of the belly. But in Kundalini Yoga, they practice it a little bit differently, and it works out nicely because we do a lot of breath of fire. And if you're pumping the belly like that, you're really going to dysregulate and overwhelm yourself. So just hold the hands in Gyan Mudra. We're going to concentrate on the nose. We're going to do inhale and exhale very evenly. Let the belly ride in and out with that. So as you breathe out, your belly will probably flutter in, but you're not pulling it in. You're just letting it ride. You've got intra-abdominal pressure there that's just pulling the belly in and letting the belly soften out. Most of us brace in the belly. And so then we're tight in the abdominal area and we don't get much movement at all. And so if that's the case for you, just relax the best you can and give that time, because as the diaphragm loosens up, you'll find that that's more available too. You wouldn't want the chest to move, just the belly. In, out, in, out. Let's put the hands up, curl the fingers into the finger pads. So just coil the fingers like little claws, thumbs up, and keep breath of fire. We started a nice slow rhythm. You can keep that, or you could come a little double time. You can feel that the arms are like V for victory. That's 60 degrees. If you pull up on the spine and lengthen the arms, you're pumping this vibratory pulse, this rhythm through your auric field. And so we're just stimulating that presence around us, that field around us, that energy around us. And we want to get some wakefulness happening here. We're going to do one more minute. If you feel like you're getting dizzy, if you have blood pressure issues, you're taking care of yourself. There's the one rule is do your best and, you know, do your best. So if your best means you take a little break here and there, 100% yes, 100%. And the longer you practice, the more you kind of know, do I need to like just keep going through this or do I need to like take a break? And you can start to work with yourself and coach yourself and encourage yourself. For the most part, the eyes can go closed. If you feel like having them open, you can, but unless it's directed, the eyes just go closed. Nice. We're going to catch a deep inhale breath and bring the thumbs to touch overhead. Inhale. Thumbs touch overhead. Extend your fingers straight up. Stretch tall up your spine and stretch and hold the air in and stretch. A little bit of pressure is going to accumulate. That's okay. As you breathe out, to extend the arms longer, the fingertips through the periphery of your field all the way out, and we're grounding that energy all the way down to the ground. That's called the ego eradicator. All right. Now, the Nabi Kriya for Apana begins with life nerve stretch. So we're going to sit with the right leg straight out, and the left foot can go to the inside of the thigh or on top of the hinge of the thigh. Neither is right or wrong, it's just what you have access to. We're taking the peace fingers around the big toe if we can. If you can, the thumb would press into the toenail. If that's not available, then you're coming hands around the legs somewhere. We're looking to sit up a little bit tall, and we're doing breath of fire. This is not how low can you go. This is like long through the leg, tall through the spine, long through the arms, and that same breath of fire. The lungs will really open up, and I feel like, especially given, you know, there's been so much conversation about breath work, given all of the study and the conversation around healing of trauma, healthy breathing, functional breathing, that this might have been one of the pinnacle reasons why Kundalini Yoga helped me so much through that time of my life, is that it unlocked the diaphragm and got me breathing in a healthy pattern again, which then unlocks pain in the low back and in the neck and jaw. So TMJ, migraines, like all of those things can be, you know, treated. I don't want to say that because it's not like medical treatment, but like can be alleviated or reduced when the breath pattern is healthy. You're doing a great job. We have one more minute. In this practice, they tell teachers to be accurate to the teachings on the page. So even though this is like a great asana, in this teaching, it's accurate with the both hands to the big toe. I don't know, right? Like, I don't know. See what I mean? Like different lineages, different ways. And would it be right or wrong? I don't know, but I was taught, like, be clear to the page. And so like in my vinyasa or ashtanga, you might do that, right? And in this lineage, it's both toes. So I just want to help you by being clear and informing, right? All right, nailed it. Inhale big, inhale big, inhale big. Hold the air in and pull the posture. And then exhale, release. We're switching sides. We'll do the other side. We're opening up the lungs. There's balancing of the polarities here. The life nerve is your sciatic nerve from the base of your skull all the way down the spine, threading through your hip. So peace fingers are on the left big toe. Yep, that's it. It's green. Go time. Go time, girl. Breath of fire. Nice job. And then you might want to sit up on a block, and that's going to help free up some of the backs and not so strong. They don't really use props, but like, see what I mean? Like under that, do your best. It's just helpful. Yeah. Yeah. Good, let's do 10 more seconds. Good, breath. Nice. Inhale. Be the container, hold the prana. Exhale, release. Is it interesting? Side yet. All right, lie to your back. We're going to kick the buttocks alternately. Inhale, lift the right foot up. Exhale, kick. Inhale, lift the left foot up. Exhale, kick. Inhale, right up and kick. Inhale, left up and kick. So rather than kicking like you're swimming just back and forth alternately, the breath kind of has that way of patterning. We're going to get something a little more rhythmic for you. So for the most part, the kriyas are based on like a time interval. Like we would do this for a certain duration of time. See if you can get the heel to kick the butt. The exhale, when the foot comes down, the heel bounces off the butt. Yeah, boom down, boom down. There you go, Leah. For the most part, you know, when we're working with the time span, it's nice because if you need to just like take a breather for a moment, you can. And, you know, I'll be honest, the most innocent little things can all of a sudden be so challenging. You're like, how is this so hard? Because you're really not working with your body in the way you're used to. It's not as much about, are you quote strong enough? Do I need to lift heavier weights? It's more about just like, are my energetic channels clear enough that I can make this movement repetitively and the energy flows through without creating like a burning sensation of, you know, get through the blocks about it. Or sometimes it just picks at the mind in such a way, the body's fine, it's just the mind has a grudge about it for some reason. And then we get a little struggle over seemingly nothing. Nice job. Put the feet to the floor, take a couple breaths, relax a moment. All right, staying on the back. The right knee is going to come into the chest, the left leg's going long, about 12 inches off the ground. This is piston. You'll switch, switch, switch. Exhale as you extend the left leg out. Inhale as you extend the right leg out. So exhale, left leg out. Inhale, left leg in, right leg out. In this case, the hands can be along the sides. They can be under your low back. And you're just piston back and forth. I tend to do a little better with my feet flexed. I can push the heel. But if you're a toe pointer, you can do it that way too. Get yourself into a rhythm with the breath so that you're going back and forth with your breath and it's steady. What we know is that rhythm will create a pattern, and that pattern will have a container capacity. So the pattern of your movement and your breath will start to hold you. And you won't need to exert quite as much effort. I haven't forgotten about you. Keep going. You're good. You're good. Extend both legs out. Take a deep breath in. Hold both legs out. Hold the air in. Hold the legs out. Ribs down, legs out. Air in. Exhale, relax. Right. We are coming like a high plank with our toes long. So roll to the side, come on up. I'm going to show you. It's a front platform. So the toes are long, feel the bones of the feet, and the legs are held up, breath of fire. You're welcome to drop the knees. We're in the core. So when you drop the knees, or if you choose to drop the knees, you're welcome to. Just make sure you continue to pull the ribs in and you're holding your core up. So nothing kind of hammocking or sagging through there. Kind of lifting the ribs and holding the hips up is the key part. Whether the knees are down or the knees are up is second. Lift. Up, yeah. Breath of fire, in and out, breath of fire. It's a challenge. Remember when I said Navi means that we'll be in the core? This is it. Yes. That Navi center is where our personal power resides. So if you feel like, you get stepped on every once in a while, you start projects that you can't really finish them. You've got a lot of ideas, but it just, I don't know why, nothing really, you don't get your break. You want a little bit more energy projecting from this area. You want a little bit more flow here. And so this kind of breath of fire here is helping you. We're going to take a few more seconds because I want to give you a chance to really feel something today. These all have a duration, and if I shorten them, it's like disrespectful. It's like I'm expecting you to be less than what you really are. So I'm giving you a longer opportunity because I respect you and I want you to have like all your opportunity here. I don't want to sell it short for you. So I believe in you. Let's do 10 more seconds. We're going to do 10 more seconds, and this ends with a particular breath pattern. So just keep your mind very focused. Be very certainty, keep in your certainty, 100% certain, and then breathe with me. Inhale, hold the breath in. Exhale, please. Stay, stay, stay. Inhale again. Exhale, exhale out. Hold the breath out and hold the posture. Hold the posture, hold the air out. Exhale, come on down. Good work. I know, right? But it's potent. We only had to do that for like 2 minutes. It wasn't like a whole hour and a half of it. So poof. All right, so this next thing is stretch pose. And I'm going to show you what the shape is first, because we're not holding it very long. We're just holding a very distinct breath pattern with it. So we're lying down. The feet are 6 inches, the head is 6 inches, the arms are up. I'm pulling my wrists and I'm holding myself, and I'm stretching as long as I can because that holds it taut. If everybody would please get there, we'll breathe together. It's not a long one at all, but I want to make sure everyone kind of gets there so that we don't leave anyone behind. Otherwise, you'll totally miss it. And we want this core activation. Legs up, head up, arms long, hold. Breathe like this, please. Breathe like this. Inhale, hold the breath. Exhale, don't leave yet. Inhale. Exhale, exhale all the breath out. Hold the breath out. Apply Mula Bond. Pull from the base of your body. Pull the pelvic bowl up, up, up. Inhale and relax. There are over 8,000 Kriyas. If you start practicing with us here in this studio, Kundalini Yoga, there's a class tomorrow at 11. You might practice for a very long time before you do this Kriya again. Or we might do it next week. It is one that I do like to teach. But what I'm saying is, it's not like this is going to be every Kriya. We always want to offer you a variety because we want to continue to challenge the patterns. We'd rather you live in the field of all possibility than in the field of habit, expectation, clearly defined. Our world needs innovation, creativity, solutions, love and acceptance that are outside of the standard comfort zone. You're here because you have the capacity to hold that, to be in those spaces. Come on up to seated, bring your knees to your chest, rock and roll. Come up and sit in a way that's comfortable. If you need to grab a block or to be on your bolster, you're welcome to. In most Kundalini studios, they don't offer props. We do because we're pushy here. But like when I go to Rama, they don't even have blocks in the building. They're like, what yoga blocks? Like go to a power class or go to a hatha class. So if you want like blankets and stuff, people bring them. People bring meditation cushions and everything. But we have them, so people are kind of used to grabbing them, and I'm good with that. I'm good with that. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're bringing the arms again. They're not out like this. They're not forward. They're kind of like a 6 degree, like you're going to come up. Scott's going to give me a hug. Just a friendly hug, David. Like this. Okay, so the arms are out. Close the eyes. Breathe long and deep. The arms are creating a large V, and the heart is in the center. The heart is the point of the V. Like stretch your fingers apart from each other and engage your fingers. So not tense, but engaged. And we're taking long, long, deep breaths. So a very gradual, long inhale. And a very gradual, long exhale. Bring your face back just a tiny bit so the back of the neck stays long. And then if you would breathe in with me all together, everyone a big inhale breath. Hold the air in, squeeze the hands into fists. You're gonna hold the air in. You're gonna move your hands. The fists are coming to the sternum, bend the elbows. Move very, 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 very slowly and with a lot of force. It could be that your arms tremor. Squeeze like you're moving 1,000-pound weight. Hold the air in. When the fists get to the chest, you'll expel the air and open the arms. Good. 3 more, inhale. Fists, hold and move. You don't have to arrive when everyone else does. You can concentrate on your own experience and create that tight journey in. And when the fists come to the sternum, number 3, inhale. Squeeze tight. Inhale, last one. Hold the arms apart, long, slow, deep breath. You're in the V. The heart is in the center of the V. It is the apex, the fulcrum. Breathe all the way down the arms to the fingertips. Now bring the hands towards each other. They're going to stop before they touch. You'll allow about 4 inches in between them. As if you were coming to prayer right in front of your heart, with 4 inches between the hands. Gaze in the space between your hands. A soft gaze in between the hands. Feel the energy flowing. Perhaps you can even see it. The breath very long and very deep. Bring the palms together to touch so the hands are in fact in prayer. Close the eyes and set your gaze at your third eye point. So the eyes are going in and upwards. The Chitakasha is the space behind your forehead. It's up once again at about that 60-degree angle. And you're just resting your awareness there. Never mind the experiences of the past. Stay right here at this moment. Now hinge at the waist and put your forehead right down on the floor. Keep the hands there at your heart and just bow forward and place the forehead on the ground. If it doesn't come all the way to the ground, you can just bow to your degree. If there's something handy for your forehead, you can place it there. See if you can keep the prayer right in front of your heart. So you want the hands like in front of your heart. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Very nice. Come upright. Place your hands on your knees with your thumb and your index finger touching. The palms can be up or down. Simply close your eyes and hold your body upright. Become very sensitive to your experience, what you're feeling within yourself, what you're feeling around yourself. From the top to the bottom, the left to the right, over and under, up and down. Just scan and notice anything you possibly can. Deep inhale breath and exhale. And come to lie on your back for Shavasana. You're welcome to use a bolster under your knees if that would help you be comfortable. Your knees into your chest. You rub the flats of your feet together. Bring your hands together, rub the palms of your hands together. Even hands, and then hug the legs. Rock and roll up and down the length of your spine. Rock and roll several times with your chin in. Rub the back a moment. And then come on and put your hands in prayer. This is long time sun song. It's on the back of your mantra card. Sunshine on you. Surround you and the pure light within you. Guide your way on. Guide your way. Go with many blessings and remember who you are. Satam. Thank you.
Thank you.
So what questions do we have? Thoughts would you like to share? Sorry, I asked at the beginning.
I have a question when there's like a close your eyes and gaze to the third eye. Is that a literal like rolling your eye? Is that like a physical rolling up of your eyes?
Yeah,
and
the
moving?
eyes will start to respond to that and
Yeah.
roll up. And there's even a drishti style where the eyes are 9/10 open and yet the eyeballs are rolled up to hold that focal point. And when you can get that, the chin will drop and the neck will lock, and that will like trigger that pineal pituitary, which is your third eye, is actually the glandular activity. It's not this spot so much. I mean, there is the pressure point for the vagal nerve. The glandular activity you're looking for is happening back here on top of the palate where the glands are located, like in the center of the brain. When that would be like the source of that chakra energy. That's where the plexus of the nerves is.
And is
Back
it
there.
is it a practice? Like it feels
It
hard.
feels hard to me.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
I worked a long time and I get it. Mike holds it really seemingly easily. I think some of it does have to do with like your, strength of your nervous system and you're a little afraid. Yes, Scott.
You mentioned the 10 bodies.
Yeah.
Are those things that you keep in mind as you're going through your practice, or are those just benefits of the Kriyas the way they're designed?
Yeah, I'm not skilled to design Kriyas and to know like that. I'm a practitioner. Yeah, so for me, it's being in that experience. And I think that when we're in this place of discovery, it doesn't, the cognitive part of it, we're so 3D that way, we just get out of the way. And, the Kriyas, they're designed to help you. You're doing something, you're doing things. And there's a natural, organic way that our body processes energy, and there's an organic way that our body wants to heal itself. And it's like any quality, intelligent energy worker, working with these kinds of strategies will say, like, I don't heal you, you heal you. Like, these are strategies for you healing. So I don't know that you necessarily have to consciously worry about it at all, just like let that be part of the experience. So if you're new, we do have like 2 weeks unlimited for the $39 if you want to like come back and try Kundalini Yoga. Also, we have like Dana and Scott use like a replay library available to people that are holding like memberships and ways. And you can like buy one if you want, but mostly it's the people that have the memberships will just use the online library. I also have a Kundalini Yoga playlist on my YouTube channel, and all of that you can access for free. We have one meditation we do per month that we hold and do every practice class we have here. We do that consistently because a lot of these practices are, the Kriyas, the meditations are for, like, you would commit to one for at least 40 days in order to start patterning and strengthening that particular intention. And that prescriptive impact that you want. So in honoring that use of the practices, we do one a month. And then I post the sign up right next to the code book, and it's got a little QR code, and you can zap it with your phone, and the YouTube of that meditation for this month, which is for the calm and peaceful heart. It's a really nice one. It's a very short one. I think the whole video might be 7 minutes. The practice is like 5 minutes. It's just a little YouTube clip. And then you can look to see what I've got for December once you find like the playlist. Those are just posted there. All right, so even if you never want to come back again, there are some tools and things for you to enjoy. But I do hope you do come back again. It's good to see you. We have a really committed community of people practicing Kundalini Yoga on Tuesday, Thursday mornings, Tuesday, Thursday nights, and Sunday at 11. And it's been very inspiring and supportive, I think, for all of us to have each other, because the attendance is very consistent, right, Lexi? It's like nice. They're regulars, they come, right? Yeah, we see the same people. Any other questions or thoughts? It's like maybe 3:35, 3:37. So kind of right on my time. What's your question? What's your thought? What prompts that? There's something.
So like you say just like inhale and exhale and rest it. Like, what exactly is it? I always was like, I don't take a breath unless I need to. Otherwise I'm not breathing. I'm always at the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah.
What does that mean?
You know, there are the four, like the breath has a cycle to it. You'll have like an inhale, and then there's like seemingly a pause. Sometimes it's the air still drifting in and out and just like turning around for the empty, kind of rest or pause at the bottom. And it's a really interesting study, like pranayama, from many different perspectives. Like many different perspectives. The book by James Nestor, Breathe by James Nestor, is an outstanding, you guys have read it, I'm sure, maybe? Yeah, it's an outstanding book because it's like a sociology conversation, an anthropology conversation, a medical conversation. He talks some about the yogic tradition, talks about breath and how it's the beliefs through different cultures on the planet. That would be the anthropology part. So anyway, yeah, it's like a really interesting dive. But we use the breath intentionally through the yoga, all the yogic traditions. Pranayama is a really important thing. And so different ways of working with the breath are different ways to direct the energy, to excite the body, to de-escalate or to ground the body, to quiet the mind, to balance the left-right hemispheres, like to create a vibratory field. But in our culture, like I think the research is like 97% of us have dysregulated breathing because we're so stress intense all the time. And then we go to CrossFit and do like a lot of like lifting and stuff. So we want to bulk muscles, which prohibits breath. And then there's a dysfunction that can come from that. And, you know, back pain, neck pain, you know, like I alluded to, you know, when you're not breathing properly, all of those kinds of things can start to lock up and you don't get that chronic flow. Even like, for the diaphragm it's connected to the rib cage with a tendon, right? Like muscle connects to bone via a tendon, and that's a plastic tissue. So that attachment around there can get kind of stuck and stiff if we're not moving our diaphragm through a particular like range of motion. Those plastic tissues will get kind of crusty, and you know, you'll lose some of that mobility. So this has been a really great practice just for opening up that capacity. Your intercostal muscles through the ribs need to be available, and with you know, like everything's respiratory lately. You know, really, when any of us around here, Mike and I, like the Kundalini community, COVID, like breath of fire 16 times a day, just like keep that pumping, get the air pumping in and out, keep your lungs as open as you can, get faster. But you know, that's just Dr. Tracy. I'm not a doctor. This is like, I'm just talking about my experience, right? I'm just talking about my experience and how these practices have helped me, and under the yoga of what I've studied. But James Nestor has a really good book, tons and tons and tons of research in there.
Is the pranic body referred to literally kind of just like the respiratory system,
The
or?
pranic body is a little bit different than just the respiratory system because the air is limited to your lungs, but the prana actually comes through the channels, and they call those channels the vayus. And so there's a vayu channel of updraft, there's a vayu channel of downdraft. So this would be like prana vayu, this would be apana vayu. There's this vayana vayu, there's this feeling that air goes and then back in, you know, there's this udana vayu, which is like a spiraling up through the throat, like in that, was it Disney or Pixar? Ariel, the mermaid girl who like lost her voice, and just, her voice comes out, it's like spiraling out, like that's like a vayu that comes up through our throat in a spiral. And then samana is the coiling in and the pulling in, you know, to the belly. So there are those vayu channels. So they're not necessarily like in the physical body, it would be your respiratory system, but the energy itself expands beyond that. And that's what becomes really fascinating, right? As you've gotten sensitive, you can feel that, can't you? Like, yeah. And you're like, yeah, it kind of suits my experience. I can make sense out of that. Otherwise, you don't believe it because you haven't experienced it, which is why it's so important just to like get in the door and give it a try. So sometimes we get a little high, and sometimes we get a little like sedated. This might be like a little bit of sedated. We never order pizza, but sometimes we talk about it. If they get free pizza, I would be just like, I would pack the vegetables and bring it over here. I have their little app on my phone. You'd be all chanting the longtime sun, Satnam, and I'd be ordering us a pizza. So anyway, come back for the open house. It's free too. It's the day after, the Saturday after Thanksgiving. I don't remember what time Mike's community class is that day, but it's on the bulletin board out there. I also put up today the sign-up sheet, so if you want a time with Lisa Turner from astrology reading, or a time with Leah on the Pilates reformer, you can sign up for that up there. Check the schedule and come back. We'll have all kinds of fun stuff, raffles and prizes and sales, and Leah's going to talk about eats and treats and blood sugar, like regulating blood sugar. I'll be doing the restorative and sound bath. I have all the instruments out, right, Matthew? That won't be bad. I know, exactly. I'll be there for the nap time. That'll be later, like 2:15 to 3. Fran's going to do the restorative, so she'll have a practice for you, and I'm going to play all the instruments. And yeah, we'll have our same morning classes, power and power. And gentle. Lisa's doing an astrology conversation. Yeah, so we just have some stuff. We can see. I'm kind of proud of it. Everybody say goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy.
Absolutely. Bye, Carol. I want to record. There we go. Stop.